YouTube channel. It's your girl Ramira. So I guess I'm gonna formally introduce myself because I don't think I've done that before on any of my videos. If I have, oh well, we're gonna do it again. But anyways, I'm Ramira. I'm from Michigan, Metro Detroit area. I live in Orlando, Florida now. I'm 25 years old and I am a flight attendant, which is what this video is going to be about. I'm going to tell you how to become a flight attendant, so stay tuned. All right, let's get started. So I'm going to tell you everything that you need before you apply in order to apply. So for number one, you need a passport. You got to have a valid passport, and it can't expire like next week or next month. It has to be like valid for at least 6 months. So if you don't have a passport, go ahead and apply. It don't take that long to get them back. You must be 21 for most major airlines. There are regional airlines and there are major carriers. Regional airlines, you can be, I believe, 19, at least 19, 20, I think. But most major airlines like Delta, United American, JetBlue, Spirit, Southwest, you have to be at least 21. Regional airlines are SkyWest, GoJet, Endeavor, American Eagle. Those you can be younger. You have to be at least 5 feet. I'm 5 feet, so I made the cut. You can't have a criminal record, and if you do have like something minor, you usually have to write a letter as to what happened. So yeah. You have to have at least 2 years customer service or a college degree. Most airlines don't really care if you have a college degree or not, but it just makes you look better. Yeah, I think that's it. Passport, customer service, 5 feet, age, no criminal record, can't be on drugs because they drug test you. So weed smokers, stop smoking. What is the hiring process like? So, disclaimer, this video is going to be about most major USA airlines, not just one specific airline. I'm not even going to talk about any specific airline. This is just airlines in general in the US, because that's what I know about. What is the hiring process like? For one, all you have to do is go to the airline's website, go to their career section, and go to jobs. If they are hiring for flight attendants, they'll have the flight attendant job open. Most airlines, I believe, hire about, it depends, from 1 to maybe 6 times a year. The major carriers open their app less, like American, Delta, United, the big three. That's what they are called. So if I say the big three, I'm talking about United, Delta, and American. They only open their app probably about 3 times a year for flight attendants, and I think I might be pushing it for that. Other smaller major carriers such as like Southwest, JetBlue, Spirit, Allegiant, they open their apps more. So that's that. If you want to know when they're opening up their app, I would suggest you go to Facebook and type in the airline and type in future flight attendants and join groups, and in those groups they post all about like when the application is opening, and people who are applying there, they usually post their progress and all types of stuff, and it has tips too. So go to Facebook, type in, let's say, United Airlines future flight attendants, and then join the groups that are there. So you apply. Once you apply, you usually submit your resume. The application may ask you a couple questions. I believe all the airlines ask, are you willing to relocate? Say yes. You don't have to relocate to be a flight attendant, but you have to say yes. Otherwise, you're disqualified automatically. Say yes, you're willing to relocate. You are willing to relocate. And if they ask, do you like to travel? Or are you okay with traveling? Something to that degree. Yes. Yes. Even if you don't like to travel, which that would be weird. I don't know why you would be a flight attendant if you don't like to travel. Say yes. Once you submit your app, you get past the mini questionnaire, there's going to be a bigger questionnaire, an assessment, which is like customer, there's a hair on my lip. Okay, there's going to be a bigger assessment with more questions, and most of the questions are customer service based and questions about you. So the trick to the assessment is staying consistent with your answers, because they're going to ask you multiple questions over again in different wording. So just stay consistent with the answers that you choose. And then there are some customer service questions where the answer is obvious, like what would you do if two passengers were arguing over blah 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 blah. There's going to be obvious answers, and there's going to be the ones that are obviously wrong. So don't mark the ones that are obviously wrong. Okay, and then after, if you pass the assessment, you'll have a video interview. And so the video interview is kind of like, or the first video interview, because usually there's two. The first one is kind of like what I'm doing right now. I'm talking to a camera. It's a recording. There's no one watching you live. And so usually you have 5 questions, and you can practice. Oop, it was a bug flying. Usually you have 5 questions, and you get to practice before you actually do it. And so they'll give you like a practice question. You can record yourself and play it back so you can kind of see how you look and get a feel for it. So it's usually 5 customer service based questions, and then you submit it. If they choose you, then you move on to the live interview. So the live interview is basically like a FaceTime. So you'll have an actual person that you're talking to, like on FaceTime or Skype, and then they interview you then. More customer service, trying to fill you out, see what type of person you are, blah blah blah. Then if you pass that, you move on to the face-to-face. And the face-to-face is exactly what it is, face-to-face. And so most airlines, they fly you out. Most. Some smaller major carriers will not fly you out. You have to fly yourself out. You gotta flew yourself out. But the big carriers, like the top 3, you get flued out. They're gonna flew you out. They're gonna fly you out to their recruiting center, which is usually like their main hub. Like United, I think there's a Chicago. Yeah, United is Chicago, American is Charlotte, Delta is Atlanta, of course. And so they'll fly you in usually the morning of. You get transported to their center. They'll have like a shuttle. They'll have everything arranged for you. So flight, shuttle, and flight back home. Flight back home, you gotta go back home. And so they'll arrange all that for you. Some people like to fly in the night before, and then you just get yourself to the center, and then they could fly you out the same day back home. But if you get to face-to-face, they're gonna fly you out. They're gonna have transportation to and from the center, from the airport to the center, and you interview then. And then most likely you'll know if you get the job that same day, or you'll get denied. And sometimes airlines do callbacks where they'll tell you no, and then like a week later they're like, actually we would like to hire you. And so at that time, if you get hired right then and there, or if you get hired a week later or a month later or 2 months later, because airlines do what they want to do. I've heard stories about people getting a no at their face-to-face, and then 3 months later the airline called them saying, hi, we would like to offer you the job actually. And so once you get an offering, it's called a CJO, which is a conditional job offering. So you don't officially have your job. You have an offering. You don't officially have your job until you pass training, you pass your OE, which is your operational experience. I think that's what it's called. We just say OE. I think it stands for operational experience, which is basically your test flight. Like where you go work an actual flight and someone watches you, making sure you know what you're doing. And then once you pass that, you're officially a flight attendant. So apply, assessment, video interview, live interview, face-to-face, CJO, training, pass all your tests and training, all your drills, evacuation drills, pass your operational experience, and then you're free. You're a birdie. You got your wings. So that's that. What is training like, and how long is training? So I have worked for 2 airlines. I work for an airline now. So previously I worked for another airline. I worked for a regional airline. Since I don't work for them anymore, I can mention their name. But the airline that I do work for, I'm not mentioning their name because I am not an ambassador. This is not branded by them. Everything I am saying is opinion based and experience based. So I would never ever mention the airline I work for. But I work for an airline, a major carrier. But anyways, so my first airline was GoJet Airlines, and they're regional for Delta and United. And so if you don't know what a regional airline is basically a smaller airline that is like a contracted airline that works the smaller routes and destinations that airlines don't want to send their bigger planes out to. And so, you know, Delta has the big Boeings, the Airbuses, and all them gigantic planes that could fit like 200 people. But they don't want to send that plane from Detroit to Saginaw, which is a 2-hour drive and a 30-minute flight. And a lot of people don't catch that flight because Saginaw is a small country town. Detroit's a big city, but flying to the small country places, they don't want to send their giant planes because it's a waste of gas. And so they send the regional carriers on the smaller planes to work those flights, to do those flights, if you get what I'm saying. I should have looked up the definition to have a better explanation for y'all. But anyways, regional carriers work the country destinations, if you want to call it like that. Okay, so I worked for GoJet. I was based in Detroit. I lived in Detroit, and so I only worked Delta flights. GoJet did Delta and United, but being based in Detroit, it was a Delta hub. So I only worked Delta flights on the smaller planes, which was the CRJ-7 and the CRJ-9. Both planes only hold about 70 people. I can't remember exactly, but it's the smaller planes. And so that was my first airline. The training was in St. Louis for GoJet. It was 6 weeks, 6 long weeks. The training was not hard. It's not hard as long as you are focused and you're dedicated and committed. It's not hard. It's a lot of memorization, basically. They give you all the material you need to pass. If you don't pass, either your brain doesn't work well with learning things fast, or you're not focused. And so training is not hard. It can be, I guess, intense, some people say, but for me personally, I love to learn and I have a passion for planes and aviation. So training was exciting for me. And when I first went to my first training, I was doing online college courses. So I had a double whammy, and I still was able to pass and was not overwhelmed. And so it was 6 weeks. Pretty, not hard, not easy. Just gotta stay focused, dedicated, and it's a lot of memorization. And they give you everything you need, like I said. My second training for the airline that I'm at now was only 4 weeks. It was down in Fort Lauderdale, and so I had a ball. And then since it was my second training, it was easier for me because I already went through one training and I already got an idea for all the planes and what we're kind of gonna know. But I did have to learn 3 new planes because the planes I was on for my regional were CRJs. I'm now on Airbuses, so I had to learn the Airbuses, and they're bigger. So it was 4 weeks. Both trainings, you had 6 days on, 1 day off. 6 days on, 1 day off. 6 days on, 1 day off. And yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say. Anyways, oh, do you get paid during training? So you get a stipend. My first airline, we got per diem, so we got like $2 for every hour that we were there. So we were there for 6 weeks, so however many hours 6 weeks is, we got that times like $2, and that was our pay. My second airline, we didn't get paid at all, but we got a food card But I think we had about, I think we had six or $700 on the food card. So we got like a food stipend, but it wasn't paid. I don't think it was paid. I don't know. No, I don't think it was paid. We just got our food card. We got $700 over the course of 4 weeks. The food card, you can use it for Uber Eats, DoorDash. You can use it at Walmart. And if you like me, I'm a finesser. It worked for anything at Walmart. It didn't work at all stores, but like worked at grocery stores and on Uber Eats and DoorDash and all that. And so I had money left over after training, and I wasn't gonna let it go to waste. So I went to Walmart and just bought gift cards. I bought like $50 Walmart gift cards, a bunch of them, until I got all the money off the card, because it expired. Wait. Oh yeah, because if you didn't use all the money, it was gonna expire or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but there was a reason why I went to Walmart and got gift cards, so I could still have the money. I'm pretty sure it's because once you're out of training, it was gonna expire or the card was gonna close or something like that. I wanted all my coins, so there it was. They house you, they put you in a hotel. Both my trainings, I have roommates. Now that it's COVID and COVID-19, she came and did her thing. I believe every airline is giving all of their trainees their own room to prevent spreading COVID if somebody was to get it. And they house you, so you don't have to worry about that. And they transport you to and from the hotel, to and from the training center from the hotel. While you're in training, do not think you're on vacation. You are there to learn. They are watching you everywhere you go. In the hotel, they're watching you. So don't be getting to the hotel and inviting everybody you know, getting sloppy drunk, coming in at 5 a.m. hungover. Because them hotel people, they gonna report you. And they will kick you out of training. They will kick you out. And during training, it's basically, you're still in an interview during training. So come correct, come professional, do what you gotta do. It's only a couple weeks, do what you gotta do. Once you pass on your layovers, you can have fun. You can't do nothing too crazy where you're gonna get fired, but once you get to flying and get on your layovers, you can go party and do stuff, because you already passed all your training. You free. You live in a flight attendant life. During training, you have to pass your test. I believe most airlines give you like 2 retakes, and all your tests, you have to pass them with at least 90 or above. It's like the average for most airlines. But the tests aren't hard. If you just study and focus, you'll pass. They give you everything you need. So it's all up to you to pass or not. So study, focus, stay dedicated, and you will be good to go. Your final, you have a final test too. You have to pass that. I don't think you get a retake on the final. So you have to pass, I believe, with 90 or above. Once you pass that, you go to your operational experience. They give you like a couple days to relax. Like, okay, done with the hard part. Now it's time to do my OE. And so they schedule your OE. It's usually a trip or a turn, which is a 1-day trip. A turn is a 1-day trip. If it's a trip, you'll be gone for more than 1 day. So depending on the airline, it may be a turn or a 1-day or a trip. My first airline, it was a trip. My whole IOE, oh, that's what it's called, initial operating experience, IOE. But some airlines call it OE. So we just gonna go with OE, but it's either OE or IOE, which is initial operating experience or just operating experience. My first airline called it IOE. That's why that just popped up in my head. And so my first airline, my IOE was 3 days. So I was basically being tested 3 whole days. But it's not bad. You just switch positions. Whatever, you work all the flight attendant positions, and you just have another flight attendant guiding you and helping you. And as long as you know what you're doing, or you look like you know what you're doing, you'll pass. If you can ask questions, because obviously it's your first time working a flight. If there's something serious happening, they're going to take over. But just do what you got to do. Don't be scared, and you'll pass. With my second airline, my OE was just a turn, which is a 1-day trip. So my OE is from Detroit to Fort Myers back. So 2 flights, which are what we call 2 legs. We call flights legs. So if I say legs, I mean flights. So 2 flights, I worked 1 position there, and then coming back, I worked the other position. And then the flight attendant just guided us. And then some stuff we learned on the OE that we didn't learn in training because we were only able to learn it on the plane. So you're still going to be learning too. So I passed that. Once you pass, you're free to go. Crew scheduling will call you. They'll be like, all right, here's your schedule. And then that's that. And then once you're free to go, you'll be able to bid for your schedules for the remainder of your time as a flight attendant. But once they initially get you started, they're going to pick it for you. But after that, you are able to bid for your time being as a flight attendant. Flight attendant schedules. What are our schedules like? Can you come home every night? Yes, because I do. I don't do layovers anymore. I just like being at home. I'm a homebody. I don't do layovers anymore. Every now and then I will, but it has to be a really good layover, like Puerto Rico or Fort Lauderdale or somewhere international. Or if I need to just be in the city to like hang out with my friends or something, or to go somewhere for a certain night, I'll try to pick up a layover just to already be there and not have to pay for anything. But other than that, I come home every night. So people with children, dogs, I have dogs, you can be a flight attendant. I must say, it may take time for you to get enough seniority to be able to have control of your schedule like I do. So I'm 3 years in with my airline. When I first started, the first 9 months, I didn't have control of my schedule for real. So I couldn't come home every night. I had to be gone multiple days because I was on reserve, which, oh, my battery's dying. All right, we are back. Sorry, my camera battery was dying. Is this one good? Yeah, okay. Okay. All right, schedule. So every airline has their own way of doing their scheduling process and how they set up their schedules for their flight attendants. So I'm going to talk in general. Most airlines have reserves and line holders. So I'm going to explain the two. When you first start out, most likely you're going to be on reserve for a couple months until you gain enough seniority to be a line holder. Reserve means you're basically on call. You are on call. Some airlines have 24 hours reserve. Some airlines have time slots of reserves. I believe United has 24-hour reserve, which means you know the days you're on reserve, aka on call. So say you're on reserve Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Those 3 days, they can call you at any time, and you have 2 hours to report. That's minimum. Usually 2 hour call out is minimum. So 2 hours minimum is the call out for most airlines. They will try to notify you in as much advance notice as they possibly can. But if something crazy happens or if somebody calls out last minute, reserves are there to fill the spots for when flight attendants call out. So say someone called out last minute, they call a reserve. And so you have 2 hours to get to the airport if they call you last minute with minimum call out. Most of the time you will know well in advance. Most of the time. But things happen. Say somebody get a flat tire on their way to work and they call out. They're going to call you and they're going to say, all right, you got 2 hours to report. Boom. You got to have your stuff already packed. When you're on reserve, you have your stuff already packed, ready to go. Because you don't know where they're going to call, if they're going to call. Everything needs to be packed. Hell, it needs to just be in your car. Have it all packed in your car, except for your food and stuff. That should be ready to go from the refrigerator. But all your clothes and all that stuff, just have that in your car. And so if you get your 2 hour call out, you just grab your food, get yourself together, and go. And so, yeah, United have 24-hour call out. My airline, we have time slots. There's three slots. One slot's in the morning, like midnight to early morning. The other one is afternoonish, and then the last slot is evening. And so say you're the afternoon slot. So you know, we'll just say 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. is your call out time. So between those hours, scheduling can call you and tell you to report. If they don't call you past 5 p.m., you're free to go for the rest of your day until the next day. Then 75, they don't call you, okay, you're good to go. Say you're on reserve the third day, 75, they call you at 4 o'clock and say, we need you to report at 8 o'clock. Okay, they called you within your time frame to notify you, and now you gotta go to the port at 8 p.m. to work a trip. And so that's how that goes. Flight attendants can only work 6 days in a row before they have to have 24 hours off. So the most days you can work on reserve is 6 days. So most flight attendants put their reserve days in a 6-day block, so you can just get out the way. And then you have to have at least 12 days off in a month, which is kind of like every weekend, but those 12 days are going to be all throughout the month. They can be every weekend if you're lucky and able to manage it like that, but most likely it's not. But you have to have minimum 12 days off. You may have more if they don't call you on your reserve day, even though you're still on reserve, but they didn't use you, so technically you were off. I mean, you couldn't go too far from home, but at least you didn't have to work and you're still getting paid. Oh, that's another thing. So reserve pay is usually, I'll say 70 to 85 hours automatically. So say you're on reserve the entire month and they don't use you not once, you're still going to get paid your reserve guarantee, which is 70 to 85 hours depending on your airline. And so say you're on reserve and they work you past that 85 hours, you're going to get the 85 plus. So you'll get more money. But yes, on reserve there's a minimum guarantee, because if they don't use you, that's not fair. You didn't get paid and it's not your fault they didn't use you. So they have to give you your guarantee of like 75 hours or whatever the case is with the airline. Line holder. So a line holder, once you get enough seniority to be a line holder, you have an actual schedule, which that's what I have. I'm a line holder. I've been a line holder for what, 2 years? Because it's my third year. I've been here 3 years and 5 months, and I got my line after 9 months. After 10 months, I got my line after 10 months of being with my airline, and so I've been a line holder for about 2 years, a little over 2 years. And so a line holder is when you have your own schedule, so you can manipulate it. You could drop your trips, you can swap your trips for other trips, you can add to your line, you can pick up trips. What else can you do? Oh, you know when you're working, because you see your line for the month in advance when the bids come out. So you know when you're working, the time you gotta report, your layovers, how many flights you're working, all in advance. So our schedules are in a month, so our schedules are built for 1 month, so you see your whole month already. Once you get your schedule for the month, usually within a week, you're able to manipulate it with the scheduling system, which is based on seniority and how many reserves that are available. So once you're able to manipulate your schedule, you can drop your trips if there's enough reserves to cover the day for my airline. You can pick up trips based on your seniority number. So like, say my seniority number is 10. If somebody with the seniority number of 5 bids for the trip that I want, they're gonna get it because they have priority over me because of their seniority. But say if I bid for a trip and my seniority number is 10 and somebody's seniority number is 15, I'm gonna get it because I'm more senior to them. And so you can bid for trips, you can drop them, swap them, bid, like I just said. As a line holder, you can do what you want to do. So I work turns, which is day trips, 2 legs max, because I don't work 3 legs because I don't like to. It's too much. I'm always tired when I do 3 legs. I'm tired when I do 2 legs, but 3 legs is just like no, I don't want it. So I just do turns. So actually I went to work today. Today I went to Guatemala. So I reported this morning at 6 a.m. to Orlando Airport. We flew to Guatemala and we flew right back. And so I came back this afternoon. And so that's what I do. Yesterday I went to, where did I go? Oh, I went to Cleveland yesterday. I actually worked with my friend Bree, Bush Babe Bree. She on here on YouTube. Go check her out. Her and I, we went to Cleveland yesterday. and we came right back. So that's what a turn is. Or if you want to be traveling all over the world, being gone for multiple days, you can. You can work, you can be gone for 4 days, you can be gone for 5 days, you can be gone for 6 days. And then on those days, you'll be laying over in different cities. You can make plans, you can go out, you can do what you want. Once you're off that plane and you're in your hotel, you are free to do what you want. So just don't do nothing crazy where you're gonna go to jail or be hungover or cause disruptions in the hotel. Be smart, but you can have fun. Trust me. Trust me, I've heard plenty of stories. I keep it cute though. I keep it cute. When I was on my layovers, I kept it cute. I had fun, but I kept it cute because no. But anyway, so yeah, once you're a line holder, you can control your schedule. If you have kids, you can still be a flight attendant. There's actually, we actually have a couple who are flight attendants and they have children and they just alternate turns. So like one day the mom will go do her early morning turn, like 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. and the dad make sure the kids get to school. And then the next day the dad will do his early morning turn, like 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. and the mom makes sure the kids get to school. So you can do that. Even if you're a single mom, you can work turns within the day while the kids are at school. So yeah, you can do it. I would say you will need some help in the beginning, like your grandma or mama to watch the kids. Somebody gotta watch the kids in the beginning while you're on reserve. But once you get a line, life is good, trust me. Okay, I think enough about that. One last thing. Also, once you get a line, you can work 100 hours or you can work 0 hours and you'll still have your flight benefits. You won't get paid if you work 0 hours, but you'll still be a flight attendant. You'll still have flight benefits. You do have to work a certain amount of hours within a year to have your insurance benefits, but you can make that up another month. Like you can make up those hours next month. But if you don't want to work this month at all, you drop all your trips. As long as you're able to drop them, you don't have to go to work. You're not gonna get paid, but whatever you gotta do this month, go ahead and do it. So that's another plus. Or if you want to work 100 hours, you can work 100 hours. All right, this is gonna be the last question. What is the pay like? Pay needs its own course because it can be confusing. You get paid hourly and you get paid per diem. Your hourly pay is from the time they close the boarding door to the time they open the boarding door at your destination. So we call that block. From the time you block out to the time you block in to your next destination. Flight attendants don't get paid for boarding. We don't get paid. Per diem, you get paid per diem, which is $2 and some change, most likely for most airlines. And so the per diem is $2 and some change. And so you get paid that from the time you clock in to the time you're done with your trip. So say you're on a 3-day trip, 72 hours. You're gonna get paid 72 times $2 and some change. That's your per diem. That's not taxed. So that's the one good thing about per diem. They say per diem is your bread and butter because that money is not taxed. Say within that 3 days you work 15 flight hours. That's your hourly pay. So with my regional, I believe my hourly pay was $19 and some change. I can't remember exactly, but I believe it was $19. So say I work 15 flight hours. I'm gonna get paid 15 times 19 plus my 72 hours of per diem. So hourly pay, 15 flight hours times 19 as my hourly rate, plus 72 hours times $2 and some change as the per diem rate. So that'll be one 3-day trip. I'm not about to do the math, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. With my airline that I'm at now, I started at $22 and some change as my hourly rate, and the per diem was always $2 and some change. It still is $2 and some change. They raise it like 5 cents every so often, but right now it's $2 and some change for per diem. I started at $22 an hour. I'm now at $30 an hour. 3 years in, we're at 30 an hour, honey, baby. God, life is good. Life is good around here. That's why I only do my turns, because I'm not about to work myself to death. Honey, 22, 30 in 3 years. And every year you just keep getting raises. So life gets good. I would say the hardest part, or the hardest time being a flight attendant, is that first year. The first year can be rough because you're on reserve. It's a lot to adapt to. You don't have control of your life, for real. The pay is kind of low at the time, but most airlines give you a 6-month raise when you first get started. You usually get a 6-month raise, a year raise, and then a yearly raise following that. And so, like I said, I started at 22, and I think my 6-month raise was 23, and then my year raise was 25. So that was a big jump. And then I think my second year was like 28, and now my third year I'm at $30 and some change for my hourly rate. So the longer you stay with the airline, the better the pay is. So it could be rough that first year, but if you could just stick it out, a support system helping you, and you can get through it, it's gonna get better. But I'm good. I like my little 30 hours an hour. I love it. And as a flight attendant, you can have side jobs. Like, it's so easy. Like I said, you could work 0 hours or you could work 100 hours. So it's easy to be a flight attendant and have your flight benefits and have a whole nother job or a side job. Like, if you can maintain both, go ahead and do it. There's a lot of people who just fly for the benefits, like literally just fly like on the weekends and do something else during the week. And so, yes, you can definitely have more than one job as a flight attendant. It's actually a great job to have when you want to have another job or a business or something. What else? I went on Google. This may not be up to date as of 2021, but I'm pretty sure it's up to date within like the past at least 2 to 3 years. The starting pay for major airlines. So I Googled this. Like I said, it might not be up to date as of 2021, but it should be close. It could just give you an idea. American Airlines starting pay was $30.91. United Airlines $31.60. JetBlue $23.40. Southwest $28.80. Delta $34.03. Come on, Delta with it. Come on, the Delta way. Spirit $22.27. Frontier $21.91. Alaska $25.50. Allegiant $23.15. Some regional airlines, they all usually start between $70 to $20 an hour, and per diem is usually $2 and some change for most airlines. One last thing, this is my last question. Actually, this is gonna be the last question that I answer. Do I have to live where I'm based? No, you do not have to live where you're based. They have a thing called commuters, where a flight attendant commutes to work. So say you're based in Detroit, Michigan, and you live in New York. While you're on reserve, you would most likely get a crash pad, which is usually a house owned by like a pilot, most likely, or somebody who's affiliated with aviation, and they have like bunk beds in the rooms. And so you would rent a bunk bed from them monthly, and so that'll be your crash pad. Only you and other flight attendants and pilots will be there, so you don't have to really worry about anything happening, because I mean, you're all flight attendants and pilots. Everybody kind of have mutual trust, being we're flight attendants and pilots. And so usually you rent those, and you will fly in from New York to Detroit usually the night before your reserve day starts. And then you would just stay there. Say you're on reserve 3 days in a row. You would stay there those 3 days to see if you get called. So that way you're already in Detroit. If they do call you, you just pack up your stuff in your crash pad, head to the airport. If they don't call you on your 3 days, then you fly back home. Some people do hotels. They just pay for hotels multiple nights in a row, but that adds up, trust me. So if you got it like that, go ahead. But most people do crash pads because it's way more affordable. Usually crash pads are about $200-300 a month, because you're not living there. Like, it's not your home. It's a crash pad. You're just crashing there basically while you're on reserve. Anybody out there who's looking to make some money, if you own a house, go ahead and make a crash pad. If you're within like a area where there's a big airline base, crash pad is a money maker. Because say you have 10 people renting out a bunk bed from your place and they're all paying you $300 a month. Ding, ding, ding. Anyways, back to the point. You don't have to live where you're based at. You could commute. Once you have a line, you know when you have to report. So most line holders that are commuters, they build their lines to where they can fly in the same day they have to report, and they can fly back out once they're done with their trip on the same day. So say you based in Atlanta and you live in Detroit, you would pick a trip that starts later on in the evening or afternoon, and you will look at flights to make sure you're able to get there in time. Say you're Atlanta based, you got to report at 2 p.m. You are going to look at all the flights from Detroit to Atlanta, and most likely you will have flight loads. So you will look at the loads, make sure there's open seats. We fly standby. We don't fly confirm, we fly standby. So as long as there's open seats on the flight, we will get on. So as a commuter, you will look at the flights, have at least 3 options to get you to Atlanta in time to report. So say there's a flight from Detroit to Atlanta at 10 a.m. and you get there at 11:30 or noon. You take that flight, you fly in, you wait around till like 2 o'clock, maybe get something to eat. Wait around, it's 2 o'clock, check in. All right, you're starting your trip. All right, say 3 days later, you're ending your trip back in Atlanta and it's time to go home. Say you end your trip at 5 p.m. All right, so there's like, say there's 3 flights out to Detroit that night. You're gonna try to catch one of those to get you back home. And so that's what the commuter life is like. So you don't have to live where you're based at. I would highly suggest you living where you're based at though, because commuting can be stressful. Say Detroit have a big snowstorm and all the flights are canceled to Atlanta. Now you gotta call out. Or you can use, they have a commuter clause, which is like you get it like twice a year, where you can show the airline like, okay, all these flights are canceled, I can't make it because they're all canceled, I have no way of getting there. But you only have so many times you can use that, which I believe is twice. Otherwise, you're just gonna have to call out. So that's going to conclude my flight attendant Q&A video. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment below. If I get enough questions, I will make another video answering those questions. But I hope this didn't confuse you, and I hope you're able to get an idea about the flight attendant life and how to apply and our schedules and all that. Just go ahead and comment and ask some questions. If they're simple questions, I'll answer them. If they're good questions, I'm gonna add them to my little list of questions for my next video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the girl. Call me Flight Attendant Bae. Alright, thank you for watching. Hello. I don't like that. Hello. Hello, welcome back to my... This is harder than I thought.